This is Chris Hansen.
Chad doing Rip City Radio here.
This is Jamie Hudson.
This is TJ Houshmandzadeh.
And I'm going to let y'all know something.
You're listening to
It Just Makes Sense.
It Just Makes Sense.
We are sports. We are nostalgia. We are pop culture. And we're funny sometimes.
I think overall we're just a good time.
They thought we couldn't do it. But guess what?
We're back.
Podcasts are free, and we can do whatever the hell we want.
Yeah.
We never knew what we were doing in the first place.
Yeah, that is a good point.
You told us to bring the energy. Did you want us to bring this type of energy?
He's going to bring that big Penix energy.
Did you want us to bring this type of energy?
You know it's getting intense when Peter had Dukes up going, you don't want this dude. You don't want this dude as you're eating barbecue chips.
The fact that I'm having to explain to you how this is wrong is crazy.
And then it's just like not done very well.
Yeah.
Which sounds familiar.
They're like a terrible version of ridiculousness.
I agree.
And who are we
Speaking of
to
losing,
call people out on losing bets, okay? We suck at betting.
And remember, don't be afraid to fade yourself.
Can you let the audience know I'm not a fatty McFatterson and this has whiskey in it?
this man is
I think they're going to have to
legitimately
decide that
I'm not just
themselves.
drinking Coke. This has whiskey in it.
Mr. Four Bills over here just
Yeah.
goes, can you tell people
I'm not that fat.
we're not that fat?
Oh, gosh.
Look at my face. It has whiskey in it.
That is fat boy move, though. Going
Yeah.
hitting the Coca-Cola straight out of
The
the
decisions
2 liter.
that you make.
Zion Williamson, baby.
Yeah,
after-
that's right. Stick to that.
Yeah, I have to. I have no other choice.
Yeah, decisions you make after a full day of tailgating and drinking. Just combining a half bottle of whiskey with a quarter bottle of Coke.
Yeah.
That's how that
And then drinking it 2 days later.
It's really gotten a chance to marinate, you know?
marinate.
Yeah. How many bubbles are left in that?
How many buttholes?
Yeah, bubbles.
How
Is
many
it
buttholes?
carbonated?
0.
0 bubbles.
So it's just like a flat
Hella flat.
whiskey Coke.
Hella flat.
Flat white.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool.
What are we doing here?
What are we doing
What are you doing here?
Dude, you guys bring the fucking energy. You think our
Doing here?
What are you
Millions of-
talking about?
audience is just listening to us breathing? No, they want content. We're content producers.
I don't know if they do.
We're content producers. We have
We're
to produce
storytellers.
You want
Dude, if there's something I'm not a storyteller.
You don't tell stories?
Short
Short
stories.
stories. Big short story energy.
Speaking of Chris Hansen.
Speaking of Chris Hansen, what are you doing here? Logan Paul had a fight this weekend with Dylan
Danis.
Dylan Anus. I saw the end, the highlight.
Yeah,
of
so
the end.
before Dylan threw a microphone at Logan Paul's face, Logan Paul thought he was being real cute, and he wanted to try, and apparently, like, this Dylan Danis guy is a real creep. I don't know anything about him.
Who is, like, where did he come from? Is he just a fighter that's, like...
No, I don't
Is
know.
he a YouTube guy?
I think kind of both.
I never heard of this guy until this fight.
Yeah, me neither.
Neither have I. One person I had heard of was Chris Hansen, and somehow Chris Hansen found his way to this fight.
You're even a predator. You're a predator, and this Saturday, October 14th, I'm going to catch you. And in fact, I brought an expert, because we are going to catch you. I got my boy,
Chris Hansen?
Chris Hansen. Because this Saturday, October 14th,
Hansen doing here?
me and Chris Hansen are going to catch a predator.
Wow. That is Chris Hansen. That's actually
And he's
him.
shooting a new show called
tax
Takedown.
evasion.
He's shooting a new show called Takedown right now, and you're on it right now, buddy.
He's in jail for tax evasion.
Dennis. That name sounds very familiar.
Tell me to sit down.
I'm going to need you
not
to
getting
take a
his
seat
shit
right over there. Go ahead, take a seat.
Go pay your taxes, buddy. Go pay your taxes, buddy.
I have no issue there, brother.
Oh, yeah, you do.
No, I don't. You're wrong again. See, this is why I've been through the transcripts.
This is the real Chris Hansen. Yes.
So you need to
Okay,
take a
Logan,
seat
that's
right
a good
over
one. I'll
there.
give you that.
Because I've been going through the transcripts, and I've seen some predatory behavior.
You don't make money anymore?
I'm doing just fine, son. I got a whole new network.
Logan Paul.
True Blue. Came here on my own. True Blue. That's a new network. Takedown with Chris Hansen. That's the show.
Well, his dad's a pedophile.
You're just making shit up. You're lying.
What do you mean?
You're on a Predator show right now, buddy. No, literally. You
had
have
a YouTube video of him kissing a 16-year-old. You don't remember that?
a what year old?
16-year-old.
You're just making shit up, dude.
I'll put the video
lying
up
about
on my
everything.
Twitter later, buddy.
Bro, you're a predator. We're gonna catch you Saturday, October 14th.
Fucking get Chris Hansen out of here. Go pay your taxes,
Yeah,
buddy.
right.
Yeah, you're old man.
That did not
Yeah,
go
that didn't go
according to plan.
Yeah, because
That did
as
not
much as we
go.
appreciate Chris Hansen's appearance on our show, it was a
Yes.
wonderful time, a great surprise for Peter. He does have a sordid past.
He does.
Sordid
But this
past.
was
Yeah.
cringy from both ends.
It
Yeah,
was.
no.
There was
absolutely.
nothing about this where someone just like gotcha. Like it was both
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
really because I think that right before this, Logan Paul was saying that Dylan apparently had like a folder of like underage girls or whatever in his phone or something like that. That's where the whole predatory thing I think came from. And so then Chris Hansen comes out, and then it's just like not done very well,
Yeah.
which sounds familiar.
Yeah, and who gives a shit? Honestly,
Yeah.
I'm getting.
Love Chris Hansen. It taints his character a little bit to be
Yeah.
involved with Logan Paul.
Yeah,
man.
I don't
Just
want
stay
him.
away from him.
He was fine when he was part of our squad, but now he's part
Yeah.
of that. I don't know.
I have more respect for Jake Paul than I do Logan Paul. I'd rather have him go out with Jake Paul.
I don't have respect for either.
Apparently, Jake Paul looks super coked up after the Logan Paul.
Good for him.
Yeah. Well, let's see.
Jealous.
Miguel, you told us to bring the energy. Did he want us to bring this type of energy? It was Desmond Howard.
Did you want us to bring this type of
All right.
energy?
This is the type of energy we want you to bring. I cannot believe that ESPN allowed this. Desmond Howard, College Game Day at
It's a loophole.
University of Washington for the Oregon and Washington game, which we will get into, dropped the hammer on the people there with this.
Tremendous amount of trust from Michael, what he's been doing on the field. He's built relationships with the players. I tell you what, he's dealt with a lot of adversity to get here. He's grateful to be Washington's quarterback, and they know that every time he takes the field, he's going to bring that big Penix energy. He's going to bring that big Penix energy. He's going to bring
Yes, he
that
did.
big Penix energy. That's right, Harry. Let's go, baby.
Harry and Penix.
It's hey, how is that any different than like Ken Jung saying ho tran
Right,
ho
yeah,
like
I
his
love
wife? It's
you,
a
ho.
loophole.
It
Yeah,
is.
it's good.
I am surprised that it was Desmond Howard who was the one who would have said that. I thought that was a perfect Pat McAfee chant there, because he loves to get the crowd riled up.
Well,
And I
maybe it
thought
was a
big
bet,
Penix energy,
and he lost.
Who would have won that one? So yeah,
Desmond
we will,
doesn't look too comfortable. That's
we
for
will
sure.
bring the big Penix energy after we talk about the failed bet that we had this past weekend. $500 down the drain.
Nope,
Gosh,
there's 56 left.
there's a part of me that kind of is glad that that is all over.
It's not. There's $56 left.
All right, let's ride it out, baby.
So what we could have done is the bet that we actually proposed on the podcast, which was Oregon State in the over. And that would have been at plus 260, and then we could have all sailed into the sunset. But we got a little bit greedy, or not we. I stayed out of it.
I did too.
Yeah. We just kind of allowed the stakeholders who seem to have an opinion on it. So we
Yeah,
ended
we let the professionals.
Yeah. The people who don't
Yeah.
have a sports
Yeah.
gambling podcast determine what we should bet.
I don't think
because we're so good.
I think at the end of the day, it's a group decision. There's no blaming. However, I am with Braxton in feeling better that it's over.
Yeah.
Because I think had we won, it would have only made things way more complicated. If we had a couple thousand sitting in there, there would have been half the group going, let it ride. Let's put it on this to win $30,000 next week. Yeah. People are like, no, I want my money. I don't want to keep gambling anymore. And it would have been a bigger fucking mess.
And I would have pulled out that $500 so quick.
Yeah. It is better that we didn't even come close to it either. And
yeah, it was over immediately.
Yeah, it was over pretty quickly. I mean, it didn't even need to get to the end of our game. And that's the thing. So we went to Oregon State game this past weekend. Our friend group, your wife's, how's that feel? Your wife's friend group as well. So a big 25-person group. We were all in one section. And we decided that we were going to put Oregon State in the under 54. Is that what it was? 53. Yep. Yeah. And then we were going to put USC to cover 2.5.
Yep.
And the over 60. And I just don't know if the right move is to ever go to a game and bet the under that you're at.
It's a terrible move.
I don't like the idea that we're going to a game and saying, I don't want you to score.
That would have been a tougher pill to swallow had that been the leg of the parlay that killed it. But USC failed us big time.
Yeah.
That
and
wasn't
me and you
USC
both said, we were like, no, Notre Dame is probably going to win this game.
Yeah. And so... so we don't win $500 each. It would have cashed out $7,000. We all would have taken home $500. The money was gone anyways, whatever. But still had an amazing time. We were celebrating our friend Mitchell's birthday along with this big group gathering. And it started off a little bit interesting. So Mitch and his wife, they ended up getting to the tailgate a little bit late because they were there. They had to just take care of some baby stuff on the way down. They've got their baby Hugo. So they get there, and I'm talking with him on the phone. I'm trying to direct him. He goes, hey, I'm pretty sure the guy behind me is super pissed, so just be prepared. And I didn't really know what that meant because there was 5 seconds of context. So he pulls into the parking spot, and before you know it, the guy who was in this red pickup truck is out of his car and confronting Mitchell. And we're like, what the hell is going on? And this guy was like 65, 70 years old. He was an old man.
You knew about this ahead of time?
I knew about it about 10 seconds beforehand.
Okay. I was going to say, you didn't give us a heads up?
No, yeah. So he calls me. He goes, hey, I'm pulling in. I said, hey, we're halfway. He was like, there's this guy who's tailing me. I didn't know for how long. Like I said, it was just like a 10-second phone conversation. Then come to find out that the person who had been tailing him had been following him for about a half an hour.
Since Albany.
So, I mean, like, you have to come in from the freeway to get to Corvallis. And now this guy, he was like, I want to meet the asshole who cut me off. And it was like, you're upset that a guy had to make a decision whether or not to go behind you or in front of you in a zipper situation, bro? Like, I'm sure that there was like, it's like, okay, you just have to, we all get in those things. But, like, you don't follow a person for a half an hour for something that wasn't even life-threatening. But then it was just like, listen, we were all a little bit drunk and happy at that point. This guy was alone. And I'm like, listen.
Wasn't his wife in the car?
I don't know.
I was trying to look in the truck. There was nobody in there. But either way.
The
situation, if he would have ran into a different tailgate with, like, bro-y, uncontrollable dudes, he would have gotten his ass beat. But we had a bunch of diffusers in the fucking group that was able to calm the situation down. But that would have been bad news for him had he continued to be aggressive.
Well, very quickly, I think people realized what was happening because I was up there, you were up there, Jordan was up there. I saw a Mar start coming in over the top. And it was like, dude.
We didn't even let Mitch get out of his car. We were like, Mitch, stay in the car. We've got this.
Yeah.
We could have just pulled Caleb and be like, hey, can you talk to this guy, see what happens?
I mean, it was like when I, who am a very pretty rational person in those situations, and I'm like, you don't want this, dude. It's like, get the fuck out of here.
know.
You don't want this.
I just walked up because I could realize that there was tension building, and I just walked up with my spatula and said, "Get the fuck out of here!" And Jordan, of all people, turned around and was like, "Dude, no."
Yeah, Jordan was the diffuser.
Yeah.
But it's getting intense when Peter had Dukes up going, "You don't want this, dude.
You want a piece of me?
You don't want this, dude." As you're eating barbecue chips.
Yeah, it probably just got mustard stains all over me. Sauced up. But it was so weird. I'm curious. At official IGMS, has anyone ever ran into that type of situation before?
Or would you beat the shit out of a 70-year-old? Because
I know. I was like, is this like a good career move for me? But that's never happened to you guys, right? I've never, obviously we all have our fair share of road rage here once in a while, but no one's ever followed me for a half an hour.
If someone followed me and then I got out of the car, it would be over immediately.
And Mitch was like, I wish I was alone because I would have handled that way differently. So,
yeah,
pretty
his kid and his wife being in the car would have been different. But if it would have been bad news bears for.
Yeah, I think that gentleman made the right decision by
to
turning
get back
around
in
and getting in his car.
That is pretty funny.
He has Jordan to thank.
Yeah. That is pretty funny when you said that, because if he was alone and someone just jumped in his car and drove away with it,
he just left the truck running with the door open.
Just people behind him was starting to stack up. It was like, get out of here, man! You don't want this.
Yeah.
You don't want.
I was hoping he would park there, and he's also tailgating, but he had no business being at the game. He just followed him, and he just turned back around.
He just had nothing better to do.
Yeah.
What a sad and lonely life.
Exactly. But we had a lovely time with our friends and our families and our loved ones, and it was a joyous time to be had. It
was great.
I didn't even mind the little bit of rain that we got. I was fine. I was wearing shorts and a T-shirt the whole night. It was great.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good
Running
time.
around, Miguel stealing my hot dogs.
I did. I felt bad.
I spent a lot of time in line during that football game.
I never got up, but I wasn't blacked out. I was pretty drunk. And I guess Peter had come back from concessions with a couple hot dogs, and I didn't ask. I just grabbed one from him.
Realize it.
And he thought this whole time I was just going to take a bite, but I ate the whole thing.
It was gone before I know.
And then 20 minutes later, Lindsay comes up, and she's like, "Dude, how drunk are you?" I'm like, "I'm pretty drunk." She's like, "That's pretty fucked up. You just ate my kid's hot dog." And I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I found Peter at the top of the bleachers, and I'm like, "Hey, did I eat your hot dog?" And you're like, "Yeah." I go,
But it's okay.
But this was like a screaming conversation, just not even aware
because
that
we're 2 rows
I
away
was
from
surrounded by a shit ton of people, and I'm like, "Are you mad?" And Peter's like, "No." Lindsay's like, "Come on."
I wasn't mad. No, I
immediately understood. I acknowledged that it was fucked up. So I was like, okay. And I started looking for my money. And Ashley's like, "I have your wallet in my jacket." And I'm like, okay. I'm like, grab my wallet. I take my credit card and I give it to Peter. I'm like, "Get whatever you want. I'm sorry."
I'm not going to go get you a hot dog, but you can go get you a hot dog. You can buy as much as you want. And the thing, it was the failed context because, the fact is, the hot dog was inconsequential. The 35 to 40 minutes that I was gone was the problem because Brody needed to go to the bathroom. Then we're standing in this family-only line bathroom, and there's, teenagers, and people were, there were 5 people in front of us. We were the only, family. And I was like, get the hell out of here, people. I've got a kid who's got to take a leak. And then he wants to get a pretzel. They don't got pretzels. So then I get the hot dogs. And then I'm standing in all these lines. And then I was like, all right, here's my dowry. This is the thing that I have.
My loot.
This is my loot. And then this motherfucker over here eats a whole hot dog.
I was also
just gone.
I'm also just completely fine with a naked dog, believe it or not. But when I grabbed the dog from him and it was dressed, I was like, incredible.
So kind.
But I also realized immediately, I never thought for once that I'm like, I've made up for this by giving him my credit card and telling him to get whatever he wants. Because then I realized once I gave it to him and then he took off, I remember saying, "Get whatever you want. I just want one." And I still didn't have to stand in line. So I'm like, I really didn't make up for anything here. I think you grabbed like 3.
I got 4 hot dogs, yeah.
and like 2 beers.
And what's funny was that Brody did the exact same thing. So and a
pretzel.
And a pretzel. So I sat down, and immediately Brody rolls up and takes one right away from me. I'm like, all right, eventually I will get a piece of a hot dog.
Well, and honestly, I agree with you because the money probably wasn't the big deal. I went out to get beers and food 2 different times, and accumulatively that was like an hour and 15 minutes.
You were gone for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just in it for a while.
Yeah.
I knew that it was a jackass move, so I apologize.
No, it's fun because I had totally forgotten that earlier in the day when we had snuck in our fireball shots or whatever, I had was about to take a fireball shot, and Amar wanted to cheers me. But I didn't know he wanted to cheers me. I just thought he was just offering me a sip or like a swig of his seltzer. So I just took it and just started chugging it straight. So I did the exact same thing. And so who am I to be mad about it? Yeah, it's not like he had just stood in line or whatever and gotten it. But yeah, it wasn't about the hot dog at all. It was just man, I was gone for a really long time. Now that hot dog's gone.
Yeah.
Dude, also, the last few gatherings from the bachelor party to the wedding and to this, I have taken more shots in the last 4 months than I have in the last maybe 2 years.
They love shots.
Jarrah's friend group,
they love shots.
Fucking shots.
Yeah.
At the tailgate, I remember Amar and Austin and Terry showing up.
Terry, yeah.
And Terry's like, you want to take a shot? And I'm like, sure. And I'm just standing there. He pulls out a bottle of Gentleman's Jack. I'm already 2 whiskey cokes deep, which were very strong. And then right after that, we take a fireball shot. I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude.
They love taking shots.
And is that just a thing that people who
no, that's very normal.
They just do that, right?
Peter, that's very normal. I don't think it's when we were 30.
Right.
That was very normal. The
we
difference
also,
is I'm
we did
fucking
shot
almost.
Yeah, remember when we were 30, Pete?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, that was we used to do shot bets. We were too poor or whatever to do real money bets. So we were just hey, who wants to take a shot?
And I think it also comes from that they all went to college together, and that's what they did. As soon as everybody got there, okay, let's get fucked up.
Right.
Let's make it inexpensive.
They have that time dating back all the way to college, where they have that
and
ingrained in
some
their
of them all the way to high school.
Yeah.
So,
where they've been doing this type of
they've been
decades.
Yeah, it's
and
second.
I want to
nature.
make it clear, I'm not complaining. I love it. I love the
it is
nostalgia
fun.
of taking shots.
It is kind of fun.
I'm just saying, I'm taking a beating because I'm
taking a beating.
I'm not in shape anymore for the shot taking.
It's only been since my medical that has happened that I can tell them, no, I'm not going to take a shot, and they're okay with it.
Right, yeah.
If you tell them no, it's you fucking pussy!
Yeah.
I'm taking a beating, but I'm not at the point where I'm saying no yet.
Yeah.
I'm not there.
I turned down probably 4 or 5 shots.
Yeah, I took about 4 or 5 shots.
Yeah, it was the celebrity ones or whatever, it was honorary. Yeah. Because that was the thing, I never met Terry. I mean, I know he was at the wedding, but I didn't.
Terry's awesome.
Yeah, I didn't met
Terry's awesome.
So he was scrounging through a bag that I had brought. He was looking for cups or whatever, and I go, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Want to take a shot?" I'm like, "All right." I know it. What's your name? All right, cool.
Yeah, at the end, he had just taken a shot, and we were kind of breaking stuff down, and there was one more shot happening. And he comes up to me. He's like, "Oh, this is gonna suck." And I was like, "What's gonna suck?" And he's like, "This shot." And I was like, "I'm not taking a shot." He was like, "You said no." And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "I didn't know I could do that." And then he's like, "I'm just not gonna take mine. Don't say anything." And then he doesn't take his. He sets it down. And then Naoko walks over and he goes, "Oh shit, that shot was terrible. Oh, I can't believe it." I just look at him like, "You bitch."
Yeah, we need to stop celebrating you know, your wedding, we got the haircuts, then we had your wedding, now we got to stop, we got to kick you out.
This weekend had nothing to do with me.
Had nothing to do with you. That's right. And we got to get rid of Jarrah.
Yeah, it's Jarrah's fault. Jarrah's fault.
We
were talking about Austin. I got to be honest. we might be a bad influence
I
on
was thinking that.
We might be a bad influence on
I know.
Austin.
Yeah, now I'm planning like a legitimate like bourbon blind tasting on this night. But at least they're like 5 minutes from home. So.
Yeah, they can call it a scuba.
I know. We're going to be the worst thing for Austin.
I'm not gonna lie, I was thinking that earlier. Like when you were talking about how he was fucked up at the tailgate, I'm like, we might not be the best.
But I don't think it was all us. I think adding our vibe, and now that the groups are one, because it used to be that we like were separate, but now that everybody knows each other, loves each other, and like we amp each other up that much more. I think it's all of us are bad influences on one another.
I kind of like it, actually.
Yeah, I kind of like it, too.
Fun with
I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it.
You know,
if you can't handle it, stay out of the kitchen.
Yeah, it's you got in the wrong business, which is...
We're in the business of fucking people up.
I'm kidding.
We're in the business of having
drunk.
a good time.
Yeah.
We're just a good time.
It's all about the memories.
Yeah, the mammary glands.
You know, I had a great time this summer. In addition to us,
Fat Bear Week.
Fat Bear Week has concluded, and we have a winner.
Big boy there.
Wow.
We have a winner. 128 Grazer has taken down Chunk 32 for the championship. Congratulations!
Wow,
to
look at Grazer on the right
look at
there.
him.
Chunk's got that like swooping little pot belly underneath, which is pretty great.
Dude,
so.
Grazer's big in all the right spots.
Yeah.
Wow.
Look at her.
Jesus.
Grazer's a female, by the way. So
Look at that ass.
Look at that ass. I mean, honestly, like that's the right winner right there. At official iJam, as we will link it. But yeah, an absolute runaway. Grazer won 100,008 votes to 23,000.
Now, last year, I recall there was a little bit of a do-to-do.
The Russians were getting in on
There
it.
was a little bit of hacking.
Putin?
Some inflated numbers. I hope
This is
that's
all
not
legitimate.
the case for Grazer.
It's too big of a gap.
It is
for
That's what makes
any
me believe
funny
that there's
business.
Yeah.
funny business. It's a big gap.
Yeah. Well, congratulations to Grazer.
Yes. Wow.
Big boy.
Fat
Girl.
Bear Week.
Big girl.
Yeah, Chunk was a boy.
Wow.
Big belly chunk boy and big girl Grazer. Not preggers.
What are you saying?
Because I assumed that Chunk was a girl because that bear looks pregnant.
No, it's just like
Do
a
you
nice...
still not get the concept of Fat Bear Week?
No, I do. I'm just saying the belly that's hanging out, it
It's
looks
not
pregnant.
Not at this time of year, I don't think.
Oh gosh.
They're in one cave together. You don't know that they're banging.
That's true.
When they're in the cave, they're hibernating, not fucking.
Have you been in there?
Yes.
He's the little spoon.
Yeah.
He's the wee little spoon. So, anything else exciting before we move to the sports of sports?
Sports is exciting.
Well, right, but I mean like non-sports related. I guess we've been talking a lot of sports in the non-sports. We will update you on another thing. Go ahead and show your shirt, which states...
Don't be afraid to fade yourself.
So...
And we should take a little bit of that advice.
I mean, let's just address it. Let's address that we're over five.
Over 5. My lock hit with the Miami Dolphins, but I can only take half credit on it because Juan Magoo was the one who steered me in that direction. So, yeah, I had a hard time with it, but I was the one for 3. We
Took a
had
step backwards this week.
Yeah, I do think I will say this. Well, no, because you got the 49ers at -5.5, and it did creep up to 10. Right? So I was thinking that it was a little bit of a fuck you to Braxton that you took the 49ers over the Browns. But in essence, that was a pretty good line because we got him at 5.5. At game time, it was -10.
Honestly, I think out of all the weeks that we've lost, we can't really get down on this last one. Because who fucking knew? I mean, the 2 undefeated teams were going to lose to 2 teams with shitty quarterbacks.
Right.
I mean,
P.J. Walker takes you down. Zach Wilson
third
is
string. And then the Jets beating the Eagles. Like, How could we have fucking seen that coming? There's no way.
The Eagles did have, I mean, there's been a little bit of a story about how Jason Kelsey blew up a little bit in the Rams game a couple weeks ago because of their red zone offense. They once again had a little bit of question marks within their red zone. And then, you lose to a Jets team where they don't have the type of momentum that the Eagles would have. 6-0, when you're 5-0 and you're trying to get to 6-0, maybe you have a little bit of a letdown. The NFL is, we know this. All the cliches are in the works when it comes to it. But any given Sunday.
You look at all three games. You took Miami over Carolina. They were down 14-0 to start the game.
Yeah.
You took Philly
and
against
Tyreek went out.
Yeah. Philly, after you had picked them a couple days later, announced half of their defense was out. Jalen Carter, Darius Slade, they were all out. That's why the Jets were able to score against them.
Yeah.
And the Niners, yes, they went up their spread went up to 10 and it felt safe. McCaffrey gets hurt. Debo gets hurt.
Right.
And it felt like a trap game after that. It's like, the Browns with a third-string quarterback were just going to end up beating them.
You talk about the highs and lows and everything. A lot of people started talking shit about Brock Purdy very quickly as soon as he didn't have Debo or Christian McCaffrey. People starting to mold the face of what Brock Purdy is without his number ones, and it just morphs into Zach Wilson.
How quickly they turn on you, huh?
Yeah,
you're third in the MVP race, and all of a sudden you're just trash after one game.
Nothing without your number ones. So
yeah, we'll see. I think he's going to be just fine, but
yeah,
that's going to hurt if those guys are out for an extended period of time.
But congratulations to PJ Walker, the truth, for the Cleveland Browns. So.
Yeah.
McCaffrey still gets a touchdown before getting hurt. The streak doesn't get broken.
The streak continues. That's the second week in a row that I have had a Christian McCaffrey-based parlay that gets spoiled for one way or one reason or another.
You just got to play it safe and take an anytime touchdown and nothing else.
But, where's the fun in that? You're going to get it minus 180. Yeah. There's no, you got to put $20 in, $30 in, or more just to feel like you've gotten a tangible return.
So you have a problem.
No. I just think that what I had,
okay, Mr. Live Bet.
Yeah, we'll talk about your live bet in a second. Is that what I do is I'll go into the alternate receiving and rushing yards, and I will choose something that's minus 300, and I'll stack about 3 or 4 of those, and that's what my problem has been.
Dummy.
And usually it gets to plus 120. So it's still pretty good, but still a lot of things.
But it still loses?
Right. But it still loses.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
You talk to Barker a lot? plus money, Barker.
Plus
he doesn't
money.
bet anything, not plus money.
Yeah. But yeah, it was an interesting week in the NFL because then you had very close games the Jags -2, right? -2, then they go on and they just stomp all over the Colts. But then again, the Colts haven't won down in Jacksonville in a decade. Yeah. And so maybe we should have thought about that. The Lunder hit, so we shouldn't, go with the Lunder. We can bet over-unders, can't we?
Yeah.
We should start betting the Lunders. I should have done the Lunder this past week.
You know how much harder that is to pin down?
I know.
Than,
I don't think I've
actual
I honestly don't think I've bet any points this year.
Also, we've addressed this before on how they show all these tickets on DraftKings or FanDuel or MyBookie, and they're who really would bet that? Who would bet that shit? But then you have this argument of there's somebody out there betting everything and there's a chance to hit something, right? Well, something came out that MyBookie, I think was the site, they were posting false tickets.
Oh, really?
Right after each game, and they were faking it. It was an AI showing the tracking thing.
Mm-hmm.
They were caught posting over 100 false tickets since week 1.
No way.
Damn.
Just to get, and they have
Get
grown.
traction,
They have
yeah.
grown so much. They have a lot of people have gone to MyBookie, especially ones that in states where they don't have DraftKings or FanDuel. They're like, oh, odds are better here. They were caught, so it's not a tinfoil argument anymore.
Yeah.
Like, it's fucking real.
I mean, but the thing is it's not illegal to do that. It's unethical, but yeah, it's not illegal.
Well, and you already have those people. It's not like they're not going to bet. They're already in your site. They are already having fun gambling. So
Listen,
it's like,
now that guy's out of jail, we need to get him. Someone needs to hire him. The guy that we featured a couple weeks ago, who was calling his parlay, he was calling his buddy or whomever.
Yeah.
8-leg or whatnot. He hit another one, and he even like tied it to the WNBA finals as well. Like cash like $13,000 again. So someone's got to sign him up.
where is he getting $1,500 to $2,000 to bet on this?
I mean,
he's having somebody do it for him.
Yeah,
but he's made enough to post his bail.
Yeah, he's out of jail now, so he's good. So sign him up. We'll get him on the pod. I'm going to try and find him.
This is our cue to quit.
I'd love to get Well, no, because, I mean, like, what else is he going to do? Like, he can just, like, research all kinds of stuff when he's in there, so.
What kind of access to information do you think these guys
They've
have?
got the internet, don't they?
No.
They've got fake
You think a
phones.
guy in jail has
Or a
more
burner
access
phones.
than we do?
That's true. They got more time.
Yeah, that's the only thing they got.
They got more time than we do, so. All we need is a little bit
they
more
got access
time.
to internet. They're in there watching porn, Netflix, just living the best life.
What a time. Free meals that people are cooking
dude.
for 'em.
When
I
I
should go
post
back.
when I post our locks on Twitter every week, I usually put this is Braxton, Peter, Miguel's pick, and it's plus this. It's how much we bet and what we're gonna win. I'm no longer gonna do that. I'm just gonna do a screenshot of our bet, and I'm just gonna put one day.
One of these days.
One day. ...
One of these days.
We're gonna get this week.
Yeah, stay tuned for a lot.
I've heard that before.
We're gonna get. You want to know why? Because I feel like this week that just occurred, a lot of kind of anomalies happened. A lot of righting of the ships.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I feel like going into this next week, it's going to be, more assumptive than we've had in the past.
What I'm gonna do is we're gonna do our locks, and then on my own, I'm gonna bet the opposite of what we bet.
Just straight again.
We always get one.
Yeah, we've never gone over.
Ever?
No,
I don't think so.
We haven't gone over.
So you got to
Actually, I think we went over on the first week, but I was challenging the Rams one. Is that right?
Yeah, that's an offer. The first one was an offer.
Okay.
Whatever, man.
Whatever.
Just stop bringing up negative stuff.
But yeah, I mean, it's interesting, like you said, now that we're entering that period of like the first quarter of the season is over, and we have the opportunity to see who these teams are. We'll get into next week's games here in a bit, but I mean, to see, there were some really big spreads, and I teased out every one of those big spreads, and I ended up winning that
Stop
bet.
teasing me.
And
you're teasing me.
so, like, of those huge, heavy favorites, the 49ers, the Dolphins,
The Bills,
and the Eagles, only one of those teams actually won. Isn't that crazy?
and not
go
one,
Bills.
and only one covered.
Oh, yeah, and one covered. Sorry, one covered.
Yeah.
Sorry.
2-1,
one covered. 2-1,
one
one
covered.
covered. So, yeah. What are we thinking now? Because everyone thought 49ers and the Eagles this. Are we still thinking 49ers and Eagles are running away with it?
In the
NFC?
NFC?
Yeah.
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 But I think the Lions are no joke. The Lions are no
Lions
joke.
are fun.
They are fun.
They do have...
And they have an energy about them,
They do. I'm a little concerned at their running back position, though. Because Montgomery's going to be out for a little while. Gibbs is hurt constantly. So I am a little bit concerned about what's going to happen at running back. So maybe for the next 2 weeks, we might see a little bit of a come back down for the Lions because of that.
We'll see.
But we shall see.
I think they're good. They're exciting. They're fun to watch. That's for sure.
Yeah. If you take I mean, everyone's dealing with injuries, but I think the Lions were what you would call the frisky team last year, but they're for real this year. They're not the frisky Texans. Like, they're a good team. They're one of the good teams this year.
Yeah, they're definitely going to make the playoffs, for sure.
What did the Jets win say about them?
Not a lot.
You don't think so? Said more about what happened with the Eagles there?
Yeah, I think that the Eagles just, you could tell in these past few games that they were just doing what they needed to do to get a win. They were tired. They looked a little slow. I think this is a good reset for them. I think
also,
the Eagles
if you're questioning if it's San Francisco and Philly to run away in that conference still, it's almost a good thing to not have the looming thing over your head if you're going to go undefeated or not. Just get it over with, lose that game, and you can kind of regroup and
acknowledge that, like, the things that you are actually kind of feeling are now, like, justified, right? Like the Jason Kelsey stuff where he's all animated on the sidelines, like, we need to figure this out, we need to get this right. He's now like, well, now we actually lost a game, so
we've lost.
We should, because, you know, winning cures all.
Absolutely. But in the AFC, I think you got to argue, since the Browns beat the 49ers, are they the best team in the league?
Clear ice.
Took me just a second because I was looking at last week's score. Like, he said the Browns, right? Yeah. So,
no.
What if?
What if?
I tell you what.
I did say they were spoilers.
Yeah, I think that they might, because the Ravens aren't doing so hot and the Steelers aren't doing so hot and the Bengals aren't doing so hot, I think that they could scrap their way into a playoff spot and beat somebody they absolutely shouldn't in the first round.
It feels like it is so tough for every single team in the AFC North to win a game.
You know who
it is just a grind it out, like, nervous wreck of a game for every one of those teams.
You know who the Browns are? Who's the college version of the Cleveland Browns? Arizona in the Pac-12. That's the Browns this year.
Yeah. Just the ups and the downs.
You'll never fucking know. They'll blow a team out, or they'll lose by 40.
Yeah. They'll go right there toe to toe with Washington or not. Yeah. Right? Because that was Washington that 31-24 a couple weeks ago or whatnot. But let's see. Justin Fields hurt. He's going to be down for a while. That was such a crappy game as well.
I am kind of excited for this D2 kid to get his chance, though. Do you hear about this?
I mean, I know that he exists, and I can't even remember.
From Chicago?
At this point.
Yeah, so the guy who's playing now, I forget his last name, but he's a D2 quarterback who, like, set all these records in Division II. And he got drafted.
Tyson Bagent or whatever?
Bagent, yeah. And now he's getting an opportunity. D2. Shout out.
Dude, I have Fields in fantasy. This sucks.
Aww.
Poop.
Monday Night Football, you placed an in-game bet with how much time to go?
6 minutes.
6 minutes to go. The score was 17-17. And you decided to go with a Cowboys money line in under 40.
Under 40 and a half.
40 and a half.
As LA were getting the ball.
And driving.
Because what happened...
Or was it 20-17?
It was 17-17.
Okay. Yeah.
And Herbert had the ball. They were about to play that series. And you know how when you're doing a live bet, it's just constantly changing.
Mm-hmm.
I initially were going Chargers money line over 40 and a half, expecting a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
That was sitting at plus 365 or something like that. And then right when I was placing the bet, knowing that I was just throwing money away, it was like $20 to win $90. It changed to the Chargers at minus something and the over to minus 125. So it reset. I cleared it, and I went Dallas and under because it was plus money. So it was like plus 300. So I won $90 off of a $20 bet.
Wonderful.
Big time live bet. And a 20 from Peter for taking...
Yeah.
He presented that bet, by the way. I did.
Yeah.
He just texted earlier. You want them Cowboys?
How many bets that you propose do you win?
Not many.
Yeah.
Yeah. Usually
It's a good sign when he's proposing a bet. You take it.
Usually I am the one. I have just the Chargers are always a coin flip these days.
Yeah.
They're playing these games every single week, and they usually find their way to lose those games. So, they go for it on fourth down when they shouldn't go for it on fourth down. Like I said, I was like, I hate that the only thing I'm right about was earlier tonight saying that Justin Herbert isn't clutch. And then there he went and he threw an interception.
Yeah, you said he wasn't clutch, and then the stat pops up on the screen. Says
tied for second best.
Yes, 18 game-winning drives.
Tied for second best since XYZ.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, don't listen to me. And then he proceeds to throw the interception. So eyeball test, I was right. So I'm going to read to you guys the top six teams with the best
I always get
odds.
nervous when you start a sentence on this podcast with, I'm going to read to you guys.
I know. I ended up.
It's a 12-minute short story.
Season 1, I read the memoir of Ed Orgeron or something like that.
Yes. I don't know.
You're like, we have to cut that whole thing. No one ever heard it because I just cut the whole thing out. Top 6 teams right now with the best betting odds to win the Super Bowl. 49ers plus 430, Chiefs plus 500, Eagles plus 750, Bills plus 900, Dolphins plus 1,000, Cowboys plus 1,100. Which are you most high on? Which are you least high on? Of those 6, odds be damned.
I think a better question is, there's going to be clear teams that you're high on. Who's the best value gambling-wise? And the Dolphins at plus 1,200.
Plus 1,000. But
plus 1,000, great fucking value.
I think that the Dolphins
is
are
a
a
great value bet
as well.
Yeah, I mean, being able to get the Chiefs at plus 500 is not a bad
Yeah, but the
bet.
top is plus 430. I mean, you pick your team on that one. If San Francisco's plus 430, the Chiefs and Philly are all in the plus 500 range. Doubling that for a team that has a serious chance, that's a great value.
Yeah.
The Bills, for me, remain
Trash.
A huge question mark. I mean, I think that Dallas. I heard like Joe Buck or Troy Aikman say something tonight about like the Cowboys and how much of a statement the win this was or whatever. I was like, not really.
This wasn't a statement.
This is classic. Like, this is what happens with the Chargers type of a thing. Yes, it's nice to bounce back after a week like they had a week ago.
But this win on Monday Night Football is the opposite of a statement win. This is about what you expect either direction. Usually you would start a game like this. Excuse me. Chargers would be 3-point favorites because they're at home. So a home team winning by 3 or an away team winning by 3 is what you expect out of this game. There is no surprises here outside of Dak not throwing an interception. That's the only thing that's shocking in this game. This is not a statement win at all. It didn't prove anything in either direction.
Yeah, I think honestly it would have been more of a statement win for the Chargers if they were able to come out and win. But
yeah, now the Chargers 2-4 on the year because of it. So
yeah, and I honestly don't think that this really raises the Cowboys' stock at all.
Right.
It doesn't make a difference.
I don't know how much it changed by winning tonight now with the Cowboys at plus 1,100. I just think that like they're always going to be there because bettors love that. Yeah. There's so many fans and everything. But I agree. I think that the Dolphins at plus 1,000 end up being a pretty good value play right now. Something to consider, boys. Or if we touch it, or is it just like absolute like
just because we
death?
Talked about it?
Yeah.
That's good enough for me. I'm terrified of betting.
So, let's see. We will talk about next week's games here in a bit. Actually, the one other thing I wanted to talk about this past week's NFL games, why is Damar Hamlin's name on the back of an ambulance? Did you see? So they end up at, was it Damian Harris? So they had to take Damian Harris out last night. It sounds like everything was trending well for him. As they are driving the ambulance out, they're following it from the back, and there is 2 jerseys of Damar Hamlin's like in the windows of an ambulance. And I don't know if that's like that's very good like juju to
Are
have.
they like hanging the jerseys of the people they've brought back to life.
I get it's like it's a weird tribute.
It's not. It's his actual jersey with Hamlin on it.
Yes. Let me show you.
Is it a sticker or his actual jersey?
One moment. Hamlin ambulance. I think it's a
ambulance.
Ambulance. I think that it's a sticker, but still. Here. See? They're driving away, and there's 2 Hamlins right there.
I mean, they saved his life.
They did save his life. It's a little weird, though.
That is odd.
I don't know if, I know that he will always be synonymous with this, but it's a weird
But
omen.
could he have donated money and his name is tied to something?
I don't know.
Maybe he was in on it.
It's a little weird, though.
This might be us judging it, calling it weird, but there's a deeper story that it actually makes sense.
Oh, I'm sure there is.
You know?
I know. Look at me being so insensitive.
What's new?
Allow me to be more insensitive again. On the Colorado Buffaloes blowing a 29-0 lead to lose to Stanford in double overtime.
Pete's gonna settle back into all the
I'm
shit
getting
talk
comfortable.
that he.
Shedeur Sanders posting his merch at halftime, whether that was him or not a good look. One of the first things that Coach Prime talks about in the locker room is how they're going to get eviscerated on social media, which is true, but it just feels like you guys focus a lot on the social medias here. But I'm not. I'll kick them when they're down. Allow me to kick them when they're down.
This is honestly no respect.
Look at the smile.
Nothing.
It's such a bad look, and I don't know why you're proud of it. You look at every Colorado post since blowing that game, and it went from Coach Prime is doing all this great stuff, and those people have gone quiet. Mm-hmm. And then everyone who's been sitting in their basement going,
waiting
I can't
for them
wait
to
for
fail.
them to fail.
Yeah.
And it's this is the result of you, all with your flashiness and all the cameras and all this shit. Now you're failing. Ha ha ha. I'm so happy to see this. This is exactly what you're doing. Yeah. And you take pride in it.
Bad luck.
You take pride in it. The same way that you take
a whole bunch of kids just trying to make it.
The same way that you take pride into
not making it very well.
Having your child wear Oregon and Oregon State gear
There's nothing
together.
wrong with that.
There's everything wrong with that.
What's wrong with that? The kid's just trying to have a good time.
I can get the kid.
Yeah,
I can get the kid.
Yeah, because it's not Brody's decision.
Well,
it's not his decision what he wears.
Yeah, it's
his.
You wearing the Oregon State stuff is ludicrous. Ludicrous.
Disagree.
No respect.
My parents and my grandparents met at Oregon State University.
Are you not aware of the sports world? Michigan, Ohio State,
That would
Duke,
be
Carolina, Oregon, Oregon State, Oregon, Washington. These are rivals. You can't rock both. You pick one.
I disagree.
You pick one. And you can't use they're no longer going to be rivals because Pac-12's been dismantled. Dude, they have been playing since 1904. It's a fucking rivalry.
I think it's okay to root for Oregon State.
I agree. I rooted for Oregon State this weekend, didn't I? Did you see me in fucking orange and black?
But why
no,
can't you?
Because I have some self-respect.
That's the same thing. You would have to sit there and not cheer.
No. I can support another team in my conference that's a rival when they're not playing.
How is it not the same thing?
Because I'm not adorning their colors. I am not a fan of theirs. I'm just supporting them for one game. When you buy things and invest into the team, that's showing I am a fan.
You know what I was going to say? I was like, you know what you should have done is you should have shown up in Oregon gear. Well, guess what you did?
I did.
He actually did
exactly.
show up in Oregon gear.
And I
Not
was
only that, but the speckled
and
Oregon
I was respectful.
Gear.
And I didn't show it off. I kept it under my hoodie the whole entire time. I showed you guys a little peek just to fuck around. But no, I know where my alliances lie. I know what I'm true to. Regardless of win or lose, I'm
going to go half and half. You're wrong completely. But to your point on how is that not different, I'm with you. Okay? I'm with you. But he does have one out where he can't be a complete jackass to Oregon State because his wife.
Oh, God.
His wife went to Oregon State.
So how do I not have the same out? Because my parents and my grandparents, I would have gone to Oregon State had they had a journalism program.
No. It's not the same.
It's not the same.
It's not the same because it would be the same way if Jarrah were to act like an asshole in Autzen. It would be the same way that he's acting like a fool at Reeser.
And here's the thing.
You just be civil.
The only reason I was rooting for Oregon State is because we had the bet on them. I wouldn't have given a shit if they lost any other ways. I don't really care. I'm just there to have a good time. For that Oregon State weekend, my job is to make sure Jarrah has a good time, cook food, make sure everything goes smoothly, and I don't come home completely blacked out. Those are my goals when we go to this game.
And so I'm going there with my son, and we're getting in the foam finger, and we're doing the cheers, and we're trying to pump him up. What's wrong with that?
And Brody's,
but I can't wear Oregon State gear.
And call yourself a Duck fan, especially somebody who went there. You went there. You have the degree. The fact that I'm having to explain to you how this is wrong is crazy. You went there. You gave them tens of thousands of dollars.
If I had to go the extremes, even though I just gave a reason on why he could have an out, I would err on the side of it's just a no. Like, you just pick one. Like, if all of my close friends were Tar Heel fans, you all can go fuck yourselves. There's just no way. Like, I'm not stepping-footed Oregon, but I don't have a tie with Oregon State. I just hate Oregon. But like actual rivalry, if I went to Michigan, there's nothing that would get me to cheer for Ohio State. I would not come up with a reason on why I'm making someone wear a shirt or I'm wearing their shirt. There's no chance.
I would never go to Washington unless Oregon was playing. Ever. And I don't know if that plays into our conversation here, but going out, and the fact is your shirt, you could see the sparkles coming off it. That's how new it was.
It was a brand new
shirt.
You
could see the hole from where you just ripped out the tag. Like, it was so.
I wanted to get the family new gear.
I don't know why. It just made my skin crawl.
You're a big Old Navy flip flop. A walking flip flop.
The funniest part is we were giving Pete some grief about this in the group chat because he sent a picture of Brody in his Beavers hat and stuff, and then he made the example about how his grandparents or his parents went to Oregon State, and it made me realize that this generational flip-floppers, 4 generations of flip-floppers.
My dad went to Oregon and Oregon State. So.
It's in his blood.
So blame my father.
Well,
Stephen also.
You're
mean
old
this,
enough that we can
I don't
blame
mean
you.
to offend Pete, but how can you consider yourself an Oregon fan?
Very easily. Very well and very
the only
easily.
thing that you have is your diploma to hang on to, your degree. That's the only connection
Pete,
you have.
I think you're better off because also you could question being an Oregon fan because there was a period of time where you were a hardcore Duck fan and then that disappeared and it's working for media and all that stuff. But then it wasn't more recently that you dove into being a Duck fan. I think to play it safe, call yourself a sports fan. You're a sports fan. You don't lean towards a specific team.
You know what you do? You say,
I think
you go with the good old platypus.
Should I just wear like
You're
the
a Go
logo?
No joke. I changed my hat right before he walked out because I was like, I don't even want to wear Washington logos or whatever. But I had the full Pac-12, all teams on my hat that I was going to wear to the game, and I was like, no.
Yeah, I think that fine. I'll be a sports fan.
But aren't you a
good
big
old platypus?
Aren't you a big Cleveland former Indians now Guardians fan?
I am.
Who's
but
their
not a
biggest
Browns
rival?
fan.
Who's their biggest rival?
Do they have a rival?
Yeah, I mean, like anyone in the AL.
They don't have one that stand out as their biggest rival.
Probably the Yankees, the Red Sox, the White Sox,
So there's not
Tigers.
one that stand out that you have real.
My biggest
hatred
hatred. My hatred is to the Yankees.
Okay. Would you wear?
Since when?
Would you? But if that, let's say that's deep rooted. Let's say because you've been a Cleveland baseball fan probably longer than you've been a Duck fan.
Sure,
or
fair enough.
Beaver fan. Would you wear Yankees gear?
No.
Even if Brody
So
wanted
you
to go to the
understand?
game.
There's a part of you to understand what we're saying,
Right, but I've got no connection to the Yankees. I have a connection to both Oregon and Oregon State in many facets. So that's where I think that, like, I can have my I grew up an Oregon State fan. I grew up a Ken Simonton, Jonathan Smith, Oregon State fan. I would watch those every week on Fox Sports Northwest. But then I went to the University of Oregon.
I think,
and I went during the pinnacle of University of how could you not
makes
be
it
a diehard fan
so
then?
much harder that you haven't connected. You went during the pinnacle of Oregon Ducks football, and you still have the ability to throw them to the wayside.
I'm not throwing them to the wayside at all.
Yes.
Because when Oregon and Oregon State play, I am an Oregon fan.
Here's the thing.
I am rooting for Oregon there.
This state is divided. If you love college football, which most people in Oregon do because there's nothing else, you choose one or the other. And when people choose when they're young and they stick with it or whatever, or they go to the college or they don't go to the college they grew up rooting for. Like Austin grew up an Oregon fan and went to Oregon State, and now he cheers for Oregon State. That I get. But at some point in your life, if you root for one of these teams, every single one of us has to choose one. That's an agreement we've all kind of made silently that you have to choose one. And the fact that you can just willy-nilly, today I'm this, today I'm that, it's frustrating. We all the rest of us have to choose one.
Okay,
but Pete can just do whatever he wants.
I have 2 points to make that I think will answer this, and it'll be over. Number one, let's skip the tie to Oregon State. Let's go back to Cleveland.
Okay.
Because you've been cheering for them since you were a kid.
Yes.
I've been cheering for Duke basketball since I was a kid.
Right. And they were good then. And the Indians were good then. They won the pennant every single year.
Yeah.
It was easy to root for them then.
But
because of the family tie and because of how good they were. Had they sucked, I don't know if I would have rooted for them. But go on.
Regardless of that, the main reason that I knew Duke is because they were good. A college team had to be good for you to see them in the Philippines.
Right.
Kentucky, North Carolina, Kansas, and then you would just pick one if you're into the sport. I picked them when I was young. And then you go through whether you started with them sucking or you started with them good, you go through good and bad. Bad seasons, good seasons, and you stick with them.
Right. Guardians have been up and down.
I don't have a tie with people going to school and a rival school or your school. The tie that's stronger to me is the rivalry. I don't like North Carolina because I've been cheering for Duke for 3 decades.
Sure.
The same way that I'm trying to get to the point of you hating the rival of Cleveland, of the Guardians. That's a stronger tie to me than someone going to school. Also, the whole Oregon State thing, it could go back to the point that some Duck fans have made. They have a deep hatred for the Huskies more than they do Oregon State. That was very clear at this tailgate. At this tailgate that we were at, there were several Oregon State fans that were okay with Oregon winning. And Jesse, our friend, has made it clear he doesn't view Oregon State as a rival more than he does Washington. So it's almost like a team is inferior, so I'm okay with them winning.
Because Oregon State was not always good over the past decade. So yeah, I mean, that was a very one-sided rivalry.
So let's say that I decide,
a good number of years.
Because I'm the decision maker here. Let's say that I decide that I'm okay with you cheering for Oregon and Oregon State. How do you feel about Washington?
I don't like Washington. For either of them.
Because if you're a true Duck fan, you have deep hatred for the Huskies.
Yeah, I don't like Washington. I don't hate them.
I hate them.
Yeah.
You have to hate. You hate Washington. If you're a true Oregon fan, you hate the fucking Huskies as much as I hate North Carolina.
Fuck the Huskies. And that's why I just said, of all the places, I would go to any Pac-12 game, anytime, any place, whoever's playing, regardless if it's Oregon State, Oregon, whoever. I would go and watch a game, but I would not go to Washington unless Oregon was playing.
All right.
Pick one.
I mean, take your time, but make the right decision.
Yeah.
You have until tonight.
Oregon and what? I appreciate.
By the way, Oregon lost.
At
Just want to throw that out there real
We're
quick.
not going
Let's
to
move
rush over
forward.
it.
Let's move forward.
At official IGMS, let me know whose side are you on here? Because
No one's on your side.
I think that there are more
No
people
one's on your
than
side.
you think would be on my side that you can root, that you can have multiple interests, even in a rivalry situation. Okay.
Said no one.
Yeah, people who don't watch sports, they would get the family aspect of it.
Oregon and Washington did live up to the bill. No
they
pun
did.
intended there. Big Penix energy showed out. The Ducks, I mean, it was just like a blow-for-blow type of a game. It was exactly what you hoped that type of game would be. It came down to a number of crucial calls, one of the biggest being Dan Lanning going forward on 4th and 3 at midfield with 2 minutes 11 seconds to go, giving the ball back to Washington, up 4, the Ducks were, only for Washington to go down in 2 plays, I think it was, and score to take the lead. Then you end up having to try and kick a game-time field goal, leave it in the hands of an Oregon kicker, despite the fact that Camden Lewis has been pretty good. You still have the curse of, I mean, Miguel was saying it. You ever heard of Alejandro Maldonado? Have you ever heard of him? And it rang true that you just left it on the foot of a Duck kicker to not convert him.
And honestly, all props to Penix and Washington. Like, that's when you watch this game, this is the type of game you want to see. Obviously, I'd rather the Ducks make that field goal, go and get an overtime win, but it didn't happen. And honestly, Bo Nix statistically had a better game than Penix. So I really think, and I think with the USC Notre Dame game, this kind of showed true as well. And this is kind of what I've been saying these last couple weeks. The Pac-12 to me is those 2 teams. It's Washington and Oregon. I don't think USC is as good as we thought they were. I think that it's very likely possible that Oregon and Washington can beat USC, but we'll see. I still think, I have hope that the Ducks can still, with one loss, they can still make a push for the Final Four, the playoffs, or whatever. It's a long shot, but I'm proud of how they played. I don't think if you're a Ducks fan, you can come away from that game and be like super disappointed. Obviously, in the moment, you're pissed, whatever, but having a few days between now and the game, it could have been worse. It could have been a lot fucking worse.
You think they should have punted it or gone for it?
I like going for it.
You go for it. You
I like going for
effectively seal it.
I love going for it.
Here's the deal. Just like in all sports, if you make quote-unquote risky decisions and it works out, you're a fucking hero.
Genius, yeah.
But because they lost, you are looked at as a
heel.
fucking
Yeah,
idiot.
then you get the criticism.
But I don't like Lanning. Going for it on 4th down was the absolute right decision every fucking time he did it. And the only reason you don't like that decision is because you're a betting person and you hate what it did to spreads or anything like that.
Yeah.
But that's the right choice.
It's the right choice.
And
because
75% of the time we get that.
I have good and bad things to say about Oregon. I think up until this game, I think they've not been challenged. I don't think they've played anyone. They've played just because they're a Texas team. We look at them as a juggernaut, but Texas Tech wasn't a juggernaut. They're 2-4 for the fucking season.
Yeah,
they barely squeaked that win out. But other than that, they've played Hawaii. They've played these teams who have not challenged them.
Portland State. Yeah.
They lost against Washington, but they showed out. Franklin showed out. Bucky showed out. Jordan James, the backup running back, showed out.
Yeah,
they went toe-to-toe with them. But, I mean, you put them on a scale. Penix Jr. is about as accurate and as fucking explosive as a quarterback we have in the entire nation.
Yeah, for sure.
And Bo Nix statistically was good. I don't want to discredit him in any way, having, athletes just like Penix does, but he played well. It wasn't as flashy as what Penix did.
Yeah.
Because
Penix did the right things at the right time.
Penix was threading the needle in some of the fucking throws.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was so impressive. But if Oregon had won this, number one, no one would question Lanning. 4th and 3, 4th and 2.
Oh yeah, they would have said he's a genius.
But they converted that. The game would have been over.
Yeah.
And they had to. Bucky was
to.
playing lights out.
They had to.
You convert 3 yards, you wouldn't give Penix a chance to retaliate.
And they literally one blocking assignment away from getting, like, that guy just blew up that guard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, it sucks, but I don't want to be the guy that's like, I'm happy for the loss. I feel like you still come out good, but I am very proud. I think the rankings showed, because they dropped one spot. They're still top 10, which I think that the Ducks are still a top 10 team. I do think that they can go toe-to-toe with pretty much anybody in the NCAA.
And I think that that's a fair drop.
Yes.
I think that they drop any more, it leaves room, and here's why I want to. Here's why I think that it's fair, is that they have the opportunity now to beat a good number of other ranked teams. To possibly get into the Pac-12 championship game, and then find their way right in that top whatever, right? And so here is the question that I have for you. Would you have, before this game, would you have traded an Oregon loss to Washington knowing that you were going to win the Pac-12?
Yeah. I feel like,
but I mean, like, you talk about like a rivalry situation. You
but
never want to lose to a rival.
But you're also guaranteeing me a spot in the playoffs. I'll take that.
No, I'm not guaranteeing a Pac-12 championship with the possibility,
which they've won before.
Yeah, with the possibility that a playoff could be there.
But the way the Pac-12 is structured right now, I'm assuming that if you get that Pac-12 championship, you're getting it as a one-loss team, which means that most likely you will be considered to go to the playoff.
And you would have beaten Washington, and you would have beaten USC. You would have beaten Oregon State,
Utah.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, I have a lot of confidence in the Ducks. I think this is one of the better teams they have had in a little while now. If they have a gauntlet to go through still, like, this was the beginning of these next few weeks.
Right.
You have Oregon State, you have Washington State, who's no joke. You've got
always tough for them.
Yes, you've got who did I say? Washington State, Oregon State. You've got USC. You've got Utah.
Yeah,
like
you finish
this
your
is
season
no cakewalk. Yeah. And here's the thing. I think if Oregon can go through that gauntlet and come out unscathed, that's saying something.
And I think that, honestly, any one-loss Pac-12 team deserves
to go to the
playoff,
because
especially for how much people have been pumping up the Pac-12.
Everybody agrees that the Pac-12 is the most difficult conference, most challenging top to bottom,
right,
in the U.S.
And then what? You throw someone else in who maybe has beaten a couple of ranked teams, but
I see where Peter is going, though, because the win against a rival, sometimes it's more important than.
But I think this type of Oregon team, that the most important thing, the thing that we have not been able to achieve, is going to the playoffs and winning a national championship. That is the most important thing to the Oregon Ducks team and fan base right now. We've beaten Washington. We've won Pac-12 championships. That's all gravy. We need to get back to the playoff, and we need to win a national championship. And I think that a lot of people agree that this team is one of the best chances we have for the last, probably since, even Herbert. And I don't know if Herbert even had that good of a chance with those teams.
Right.
I don't think a lot of people are fighting the ranking. The ranking was correct.
Yeah.
I mean, you lost to a number 7 team who's top of the Pac-12 right now.
On a game tying field
like, you lost by 3 points. It's only right that where they moved. That's fine. That's correct. The thing I'm not buying is that USC isn't that good. I think Notre Dame is a really, really weird and scary 2-loss team.
Right.
The loss to Ohio State was because they had a coaching blunder.
Mm-hmm.
They had 10 men on the field,
plays with 10 men on the
and
field,
they lost by
line.
3.
Yeah.
Notre Dame, and they played in South Bend. That was going to be tough. I get it. I bet on USC because I still think they're good. But now you have a 1-loss USC team with the best player in college football arguably, outside of Penix. They're going to be scary from this point on if they weren't already before. And when Oregon faces them next month, you're going to see how Oregon responds to the Washington loss and how USC responds to the Notre Dame loss after a couple bye weeks and another cake game.
Yeah, and I don't think you're wrong. I think that Caleb Williams is arguably the best college football player, but that defense is suspect. And like you mentioned, the reason they lost this game is because they fucked it up. There was a blunder at the end of the game in crunch time. What happened in Colorado when it came down to crunch time, they couldn't keep that lead. That's what concerns me about this team, is they're not great at finishing. Their defense is suspect, and I think once they start playing better teams like Notre Dame, Washington, Oregon, they're going to be shown.
I mean, I think that USC for the last couple of weeks has been begging to lose.
Yeah.
I mean, just kind of how the trajectory of I
still think
Colorado
they're very
back
good
and allowing teams to come back in. Yeah, I still think they're very good. You do want to be a team like Oregon and USC to lose right now. You don't want to be the Washington that could lose in November. Should you have an undefeated record, then all of a sudden you plummet behind another one. But it's like, wow, but we beat Oregon. But now, because of the time of the year,
time heals all wounds.
I mean, that's kind of a problem.
There's something about losing a game that brings the rah-rah out of a team where we don't, like we talked about with the Eagles and the Niners, you don't have that looming over you anymore.
Yeah.
But that pressure is even more magnified in college football because one loss kills you.
Well,
2 losses kicks you out.
2 losses kills you.
But yeah, 2 losses kills
One
you.
loss, you're maimed. You've lost an arm.
Yeah, I mean, how many teams are actually going to be perfect in a season? It's so impossible.
Especially this year where...
so impossible.
I think this year, everyone that's going to be in the playoffs will have at least 1 loss. I mean,
maybe Michigan can sneak out, but they could lose to Ohio State.
I can see Michigan losing.
Yeah.
Georgia just lost Brock Bowers.
Yeah,
and Georgia has looked like they have some vulnerabilities. Thank you. I was trying to find the right word. So,
but again, I kind of agree with you, Miguel. I think that if you're going to take a loss, this is the right time to take it to the right opponent. And as long as they can get through this stretch here, these next, 6 games or whatever, 5 games, I think they control their destiny. They can put themselves right back in that conversation, and I do think that they're good enough. And I'm really, really hoping.
And Utah will have the opportunity to, or USC will have the opportunity to bounce back if they can against Utah, right?
Mm-hmm.
That will heal things if they're able to do it. Then you have, let's see. This next weekend, you have Washington with Arizona State. Who knows what happens with Arizona State, right?
Nothing.
You don't think so?
Arizona State's horrible.
They are, but big game the last week. Then Oregon with Washington State.
That's going to be a tough
sleep
game
on
too.
That one.
The thing that people overlooked in the Pac-12 is everyone was so focused on the quarterback play and how the star power in the quarterback position in Pac-12 is crazy this year. There are a lot of teams with good defense.
This is one of the best Oregon defenses in a long time.
Right. Oregon has had some very good players on defense, but when you think about
not a complete.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
But that goes both ways with the Oregon and Washington game because
Washington's defense is real too.
Until this game, I have always looked at Oregon, outside of just my hate for them, even if you look at it from an unbiased position, I'm like, Oregon has not played anyone with a really good defense. And then they go to Washington and put up 33. In both ways. Mm-hmm. Washington put up 36 against a very good Oregon defense. Oregon put up 33 against a really good Washington defense. But Utah's defense, Oregon State's defense, they're all up there.
Yeah. No, it's going to be a very interesting end to this season because, like you were just saying in that schedule, all the good teams start playing each other now.
Yeah.
It's going to be big matchup after big matchup. I mean, I've said already, this Oregon-Washington State game is nothing to look over.
Right.
They need to show up, especially after that loss. They need to show up and show up.
Yeah, Washington State's been ranked.
Yes.
And
and they're frisky.
Yeah,
they've
had a great coach who
they're dangerous.
Always seems like he's in line for the next big kind of job or whatever.
Yeah. Remember Michael H. R.I.P. Great guy.
He's
the
dead?
Pirate.
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember that.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mike.
Yeah. Sorry that
Mike.
he forgot you were dead.
He still listens, yeah.
He's alive in here.
Yeah.
Alive right there.
For sure.
No, and it was interesting. I mean, for the last thing about the Oregon-Washington rivalry, you think about it being probably on paper with two Heisman contenders, 2 top 10 teams. This has never happened before, and then Washington squeaks it out. They're going to have those it's probably the biggest game in that rivalry ever. And unfortunately,
it's huge.
Washington wins that one.
It's huge.
A big rivalry game this weekend in college football. You have Penn State, Ohio State, 2 top 10 teams, number 3 versus number 7. This is at Ohio State. How do you guys see that one shaking out? Right now, Ohio State a 4-point favorite at home.
Penn State all the way.
I'm with you.
I don't dislike Ohio State, but Penn State has been playing lights out this season.
Is dangerous.
Did you say it's at Penn State?
No, it is at Ohio State.
Okay, then Penn State wins by a little.
It is a morning game or afternoon game for them. So then we have that Oregon-Washington State game, another top 25 matchup. Alabama and Tennessee at Alabama. The Crimson Tide at 9.5-point favorite.
Is Alabama even ranked?
11. Yeah, they lost that one game.
You've not heard about them this season.
No,
They're so bad.
They've been a little bit of a. They've gone very much under the water at this point.
Yeah.
Think about how great you have built a program that you have failed at ranked 11.
Yeah.
Right. People just stop talking about you.
We just don't look at them as a powerhouse because they're ranked 11. Anything outside of 4, they're just not good enough.
Yeah, once they're outside of the top 10.
That's how dominant they've been.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild that it's I wouldn't say that they are irrelevant, but by their standards.
By their standards, yeah.
Pretty irrelevant.
I mean, they're winning that. I don't know how good I haven't seen Tennessee play this season.
They're meh.
Then let's see.
Is Oregon, Washington State in Pullman?
No, it's in Eugene.
I was going to say, it's way more dangerous at Martin Stadium.
Yeah, Oregon a 20-point favorite entering that game.
That's concerning.
Yeah.
That's concerning because that is a massive spread. And also, Washington State is coming off of a beatdown, which I have to think that they will respond after losing to Arizona 44-6.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Yeah, I think it's going to be
one of the most shocking ones.
It's going to be a hard-nosed football game, I think. I think that's going to be a lot of bad blood. They're both coming off some stressful losses. Both teams should come into this game pissed off.
Duke is at Florida State. Florida State a 14-point favorite. Number 4 versus number 16.
Who knew Duke football would be something that people are looking to watch? I mean, they've been playing so well. And Florida State is like a playoff team. This is a huge game.
And then we have USC, Utah as one of the night games. USC a 6.5-point favorite as the home team. I do not know.
Who does UCLA play?
UCLA's got Stanford.
Oh.
Dude.
It's going to be a good week of college football.
I know we brushed over the Stanford-Colorado game. That Stanford receiver, if you watch that game, you see that they ran the same play over and over and over. It was like me playing NCAA 07. They ran the Green Bay Packers slant route with Devontae Adams and Jordy Nelson, where the guy was on the left and he just ran a slant to the middle every fucking time. You know how crazy that is?
Yeah.
Good for them.
And Travis Hunter was guarding him. And granted, this kid's been playing both ways, and he had 12 catches for 150 yards and a
the one who
touchdown.
had that crazy play over Travis Hunter with the ball over
Yeah.
his... Yeah.
And this guy, whatever he had a last name that's hard to pronounce, 12 catches for 285 yards and 4 touchdowns, 3 or 4 touchdowns.
Jeez.
On the same fucking play.
That's video game numbers.
The Stanford coach wasn't covering his mouth. He was just going like this.
Run it again.
Run it again.
Run it
and
again.
Everyone knew. Everyone in the stadium knew. Travis Hunter knew. Coach Prime knew. And they couldn't stop him. The kid, they did a close-up shot on him. The steam that was coming off of his helmet because he was so winded and so exhausted, he would just loosen up his mouthpiece and and then he would go and catch another one on the same fucking play every time.
That's a big win. Good for them.
Big win. You know who else is going to have a big win? Us this weekend in our locks of the week.
Okay, can't lose.
We're gone.
The 1 week we pick McCaffrey and then he doesn't play. Or doesn't score.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I know. We got to keep that. Let's see.
And then you think about, all right, you look at a game like Raiders-Bears. No Justin Fields. That's a trap game.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
A PJ Walker type will win it for the Bears against the Raiders.
You know, another trap game is the Bills and
Patriots.
Bill
responds.
He never loses to the Bills.
He signs Cam Newton tomorrow. God damn it.
He never loses to the Bills. And they're -9.
Trust me, 2 weeks in a row, Bills have fucked me out of money. I don't have any faith in them to pull anything out.
I dare Braxton to go -2 with the Colts.
Dude, all these games are coin flips. How the fuck are we supposed to choose?
I don't know. Maybe do an over-under.
Dolphins, Eagles, Chargers, Chiefs.
Oh, we got Dolphins, Eagles this week. That's right.
Sunday night. Niners, Vikings.
The thing is that I don't know what I'd stay off the 49ers because I don't know what their injury status is with Christian McCaffrey and Debo.
Yeah, it's the fucking Vikings with no Jefferson.
Yeah, that's true.
There's nothing here that's a lock.
Take the Browns at -2.
I'd ask to go over the definition of a lock, but I don't think we'll ever understand it.
Yeah. The thing is that
there's no such
There's
thing.
no such thing. It's just what you think.
That's the bit, Miguel.
That's the bit. A lock
I'm
is
not
just
buying
what
into
you
it.
think.
There's no such thing as a lock.
Let's look at what we thought were locks, where you had the Dolphins were the only team to cover one of those big spreads. 2 of those huge money line teams were of those 4 or 5 were 1. So
okay, I got mine.
Who is it?
Rams money line.
I knew it.
Rams money line -155.
Cooper Kupp is back.
The
And he's balling out.
The one thing I want to make sure, and I don't know how big of a difference it would make, but Sean McVay might miss that game.
Good thing he's not on the field.
He calls the plays. He manages the game. And he's playing against Mike Tomlin.
Cooper Kupp is back.
He is back. So just dial that up for 285 yards, huh?
I'm gonna stick with the Lions +3. I love that.
Lions +3. And I will go with I'm leaning either Commanders -2 or the Seahawks -8 over the Cardinals. Cardinals still without James Conner. They got mollywopped by the Rams this past weekend. And the Seahawks are at home.
Mollywopped. That's what happened to Caleb.
Don't bleep that.
So I kind of think I want to go with the Seahawks -8.
So, Lions +3. Rams money line, Seahawks -8. What's that at?
$30. We'll pay $179 plus $4.
Does that cover our losses so far? It won't.
No, but it gets us back. About.
Put it in.
1, 2, 3.
Put it in.
Feel free to thank us and show us your betting ticket at official.
And remember, don't be afraid to think. Well, boys,
We'll do it again next week.
clear eyes.
Full heart.
Can't lose.